Let us look at some important facts. One is the Greenland's ice sheet melts, an island town actually rises. So this is one thing which had happened recently. This is due to a isostatic rebound. This is a process in which earth crust gradually rises or rebounds after being compressed by the weight of large glaciers, because this happens especially in the Greenland area, and ice sheets during the periods of glaciation. It is a slow and ongoing process that continues to shape landscapes in previously glaciated regions. Here is the article about this particular event. So you can read this article to find out more about this particular phenomena. Similarly, very recently there was some very peculiar thing happened, which is called unidentified seismic object that shook the earth for 9 days. Nobody knows, because there was a pulse which was being measured by the seismometer, and they only see a peak like that. It was continuing for 9 days, but they are unable to find out where the earthquake was actually happening. So this was a very great puzzle. It was very difficult for the scientists to even comprehend and understand what is actually happening. So this an unidentified seismic object took Earth for 9 days. This is a massive landslide in Greenland's remote Dixon Fjord. So that is actually the thing that happened. And siege is the process that actually occurred at that time. Siege is basically a standing wave or oscillation that occurs in an enclosed or partially enclosed body of water, such as a lake, bay or lagoon. It is caused by the movement of water due to changes in atmospheric pressure, wind or seismic activity. So this was the major problem scientists were looking at, because there is some seismic activity happening, but why or how it is happening, nobody knows. And this creates a periodic oscillations or sloshing within the water. This had happened in such a huge amount that the entire world, they were measuring, it was happening for 9 days consecutively. The sieges are often compared to tides, but they are typically irregular in nature and can occur over much shorter time scale, that is minutes to hours. So this was the natural thing actually happening. So scientists are not thought about that this may be a siege which was happening. So here is the picture that clearly talks about. So there is a huge area. This rock side was actually exposed, and because of that, this is the landslide that took. And if you see here in this particular area, that landslide is completely gone, and water had risen, that is the backsplash had reached up to a 200 meters height, and the tsunami run-up was approximately 110 meters height. So this much height the water was actually moving, and finally it went up to 60 meters for several days. So this is the pre-event. Here you can actually see the landslide was not happening, the land was intact, and here the land slid, and that is how you see lots of activity that was happening. So this created a huge tsunami-like event, and the thinning of glacier created a seismic event for 9 days. So this is the one, like, I mean, you can see around 200 meters the water had risen, and that is the reason it was continuing for 9 days. The next one is the glacial lake outburst floods. So this is another problematic one. A glacial lake outburst flood is a type of catastrophic flood that occurs when a glacial lake, typically formed by the melting of glaciers, experiences a sudden release of water. So the flood happens because of glacial lake outburst. So that is what. These floods can have devastating impacts on downstream ecosystem infrastructure and human population. India had also received one such glacial lake outburst in 2023. Kongsfjorden, Norway is placed here. In recent decades, the rapid retreat of glaciers in this region has led to the formation of various glacial lakes. These lakes are now at risk of releasing large amount of water, and there have been documented cases of smaller GLOFs in the area that is happening currently. Similarly, the irrigated glacial valleys in Greenland. The Greenland's ice sheet is experiencing a significant melting because of the global warming, and new glacial lakes are basically appearing. Some of these lakes have been identified as having the potential to cause devastating GLOF if the ice dams they rely on fail. So here is a glacial lake outburst image. So this happened in the Hubbard Glacier, Alaska. The image was taken in 2020. So here you see this particular area, and then the glacier actually was led to the glacial lake outburst, and then you see there is a widening of this area. So in the beginning we have a very small area, but after the glacial lake outburst, especially in this particular region, this had opened up, and now we see there is a huge area that had come up. So this creates a short-lived lake in this particular. This lake was actually created there. So the water behind the glaciers rose approximately 61 feet in 10 weeks. So because of that, glacier lake outburst led to floods in this area. So far we had seen about the land, that is the glaciers, and the water, that is the hydrology. Now we will move on to another strange phenomena that is happening in the air, that is clear air turbulence. See, this clear air turbulence refers to irregular air movements that affect an aircraft's flight where no visual cues like clouds are present. So this is a very, very dangerous one. It is caused by sudden changes in wind speed or direction in the atmosphere, commonly caused by factors including mountains, jet streams, and storms. So it can be particularly dangerous for aircraft due to its unpredictability and lack of warning signs, because nobody knows where it is. There is a sudden drop in the flight when it is flying. So that is what is due to clear air turbulence. So in the Arctic, polar jet streams, lower and waver jet streams can cause large shifts in the wind pattern, making areas of turbulence more unpredictable and frequent. So the Arctic region is one such area where clear air turbulence is a major problem. Snow cover melting changes the surface heat dynamics, which in turn alters the atmospheric circulation and can create wind shear, and several mountain ranges can generate mountain waves. So these are all the reasons by which clear air turbulence are created in the Arctic region. Another important story, Alaska was basically was part of Russia, but it was sold by Russia to USA. This happened in March 30, 1867. There is a treaty which was signed between Russia and USA, the cessation of Russian possession in North America by His Majesty of Emperor of all the Russias to the United States, concluded in March 30, 1867. So this was signed by the President of the United States of America. And basically at that time people used to make lots of fun about the purchase, because the area, see, United States would pay Russia around 7.2 millions for the territory of Alaska. This is approximately less than 2 cents an acre, because United States acquired roughly 600,000 square miles. Alaska is such a big area. And the opponents of this Alaska purchase always used to say it is Seward's folly. The person who was involved, the Secretary of State at that time, was William Seward. So he was involved in that particular purchase process. So they say it is a Seward's folly or Seward's icebox till 1897. So this happened in 1867. Till 1896 people used to make a lot of fun out of it. But then there is a great Klondike gold strike which convinced that the harshest critic that Alaska was a valuable addition to American territory, because there was a Klondike gold strike that happened in that Alaska region, and many people rushed to get gold from this particular region. Then that region became very popular. So that's the reason people started telling, no, Seward did a very good thing only, like that.